everyone, it's Shantae and welcome to the 4th edition of Kutztown Live. Today I will be having two special guests, but our first guest is Student President Joe Scoboria. Welcome, Joe.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, can you tell us why you're here today?
Well, I'm here today to talk about a new policy that went into effect end of April, and then it was reviewed and signed into effect by our new president, Kenneth Hawkinson, this year. It's a student policy that has to do with alcohol, and it is a amendment about tailgating. And we have four more home games going on for the football team. And I was at the home game this past Saturday against Gannon, and I want to say that students love this policy. And I can't wait to talk about it with you here.
So, can you tell us a little bit about this policy?
So we wrote this policy at the end of last year to go into effect for this year to really promote the student event of tailgating before home football games and bring students out and to have a fun, safe, and responsible time. And I really think that this is it's a progressive policy that we wrote, and I really think that students are really engaged with it. And part of the policy is students must leave the tailgate when the game starts and attend the football game. And if students have a student ID with them, that's a free ticket, and they're in the game after a fun time.
So this policy was created in an effort to bring students to the football games.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you guys would say the attendance has been pretty low as far as that. Like, there has been a significant change within the recent years, or just this year? Like, what made this policy come into effect?
I think I'm a senior here at Kutztown, and the past couple of years, I know that school pride with sporting events has always been a topic of discussion, not just football, but any sport, really. And I think some of the writers of this policy really kept that in mind when writing it. And, this is promoting young students who are of the age of 21 to have a couple of drinks, have some food, and enjoy the day with their friends and family. And what this does is it puts everybody in a safe environment. When we wrote this policy, there was faculty, administration, and public safety all around the table. Everyone's on the same page with it. Everyone agreed with it, and we're not considering ourselves Happy Valley tailgaters, but this is still something that now can happen in a designated area, which is the parking lot behind the Kemp HR building, Strat Administration, and right outside Andre Reed Stadium. So it's a designated tailgating location, and which may occur up to 3 hours before a football game and also during halftime.
Okay, so does this policy only apply to football games? It doesn't apply to any other sports?
When we wrote the policy, we included NCAA sports, but of course we had football in mind, as football is the big tailgating sporting event, but I'm sure that'll be a topic for discussion when basketball season rolls around. But I just wanted to hit really quick, there are a couple amendments that we put into the policy just to have rules. The first one is tailgaters must incorporate a substantial quantity of food. I know my one buddy brought a grill with him. We had burgers and dogs going. You also have to have non-alcoholic beverages, so it makes students bring water. I know it was a hot day on Saturday during that game. Also, no kegs or large volume containers, of course, at the tailgate. We don't want to turn this into a Project X here. But also, no visible cans, bottles, or glasses. We put this in there really two purposes. You're not shoving it in everyone's face that you're drinking. You're putting it in cups, but also takes away the chance of a glass bottle breaking, part of the safety aspect of it, and also throwing away your garbage, so that there are trash cans and receptacles around.
Okay, and when was this policy put into effect? You said it was this semester?
It was signed into effect by last year's acting president, Dr. Vargas, on April 8th. That was the administrative council meeting that it was signed. And then it was also reviewed over the summer and signed August 2015 by Dr. Hawkinson. And all policies are found on the Kutztown website and can be brought up and printed out. I know I printed this one out because I had I helped to write this and fight for this as a student voice, and I carried this around with me at the tailgate on Saturday. But I saw Chief Dillon there, who's the chief of police, campus police, and I made sure that students got in safe, and we came back out at halftime for some refreshments, and everyone really seems like they're really opening up on this.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm even hearing about this policy. How can you make students more aware of it?
Well, one thing I wanted to, come to all the media outlets that I've been familiar with here at Kutztown. I went and saw Mike, and I wanted to get this out on KUR. I also had an interview at the end of last week with Keystone newspaper, and I'm sure that there'll be an article in the next edition of the Keystone. We also want to put this out on social media. This isn't something that this isn't a secret anymore. This is drinking on campus, and it's for tailgating.
Finally.
And it is an exception to the rule against alcohol on campus. But we definitely want to get this out there. We want to tell students about it. We want to encourage students about it. And it really is a cool, fun event that we're doing.
Yeah, I actually can see more students coming to the games now that, drinking is allowed,
Right.
So I think this policy will work, definitely. You said it's 4 home games left?
Yes, there are 4 home games left. They're off this weekend and back at it at Andre Reed Stadium on Saturday, October 3rd against Millersville. That's Family Day. Then again, later on in October, Saturday, October 24th against East Stroudsburg. That's homecoming.
Yes.
So that'll be a big day. And then they have 2 more in November against Shippensburg and Clarion.
Okay, sounds good. So you mentioned social media pages. Can you tell everyone what the social media pages that they can find this policy on?
Students can find this policy. Well, they can find the actual policy just by going on the Kutztown website if they would want to review that themselves. Student government, social media, our Facebook, our Twitter, and our Instagram, that all start with KUSGB. We'll be promoting this in 2 weeks for the Millersville home game, just to make sure that students are aware that you, being 21 years of age and having your ID with you, you will be able to tailgate right outside Andre Reed Stadium and enjoy your day.
So students will need their KU ID and their state ID.
Yes, you'll need your
KU ID doesn't have their
no. The KU ID is to get your free student ticket into the game, but of course you need your ID just like you're going to Shorty's.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Well, I'm really excited about this policy, and I definitely think that it will work.
Me too.
I want a big crowd, especially on homecoming.
Yeah.
The more support, the better.
Looking forward to it.
And thank you for coming in today.
Well, thanks for having me today.
I have special artist Paula Atherton here with us today.
Hello.
Hello, how are you doing today, Paula?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. It's a beautiful day.
Oh, yeah, it's a very beautiful day. We're driving right now, so I think we're going to pull over and maybe hear you a little bit better.
Okay, that's not fine. For those who don't know, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, where are you from?
Sure. I'm from New York. I'm coming to Pennsylvania on my way right now to play at Building 24. Singer-songwriter, saxophone and flute player. I'm a composer for the music that we're going to be playing. My current CD, which is my 4th CD, and it's called Ear Candy, is on the Kalimba Music label, which is owned by Maurice White from Earth, Wind & Fire. And doing dates this year in promotion of that CD. It was released in February of this year.
Okay. So, what age did you start to play jazz?
I'm sorry, what interested me about playing jazz?
At what age did you start to play jazz music?
I started singing when I was in elementary school, and I got a flute around age 9, and in my teens I got a saxophone and started to study jazz, and started writing songwriting a little bit after that. I started by learning about and playing traditional jazz standards and American songbook type stuff, and started, wanting to feel like I had my own identity in music, and that's what kind of drove me to start writing.
Mhm. Okay, okay. I was also reading that you performed for Bill Clinton. You performed for his first inauguration. How was that experience?
Um, that was great. I also played for Hillary Clinton's presidential run
Oh, that's
last
great.
time in 2008.
Mhm.
Yeah, those are great experiences.
Okay. So I know that you do many shows. I know that you're doing one here in Reading. But can you tell us a little bit about like what was your favorite show that you have done so far?
Well, my favorite shows that I've done so far was playing at Spaghettini's last August in California because I had already signed with Kalimba, but they were coming to see me play there to bring a hard copy of the contract
Mhm.
to sign. So I love playing in California, so I was excited about playing there and meeting people from the label and signing my contract. So that was a really exciting gig for me to do.
Okay. Like I mentioned earlier, you are performing here in Reading. Are you excited for that show?
Oh, absolutely. We have a wonderful band tonight. So a bit bigger of a band than I get to play with sometimes. We are adding horns. Two of the Berks horns are playing with us tonight. And Michael Anderson and Rob Diner, tenor, Barry, and trumpet. And Skylar Deal is playing bass. John Kerr is on keyboards. Lou Jimenez on guitar. And Rocky Bryant on drums. Yeah, we're really excited about doing this show tomorrow. It's Friday. First set is at 7:30 at Building 24 in Reading.
Okay. So have
Actually,
you? Oh,
it's
I'm
not
sorry.
really in Reading, right? It's in
Reading, yeah, Reading.
Wyomissing. Is that the way you say that town?
I'm not sure the exact town, but when I was looking at the list of your shows, it said Reading. So I'm not sure what
Oh,
town it
okay,
is,
so
but I do.
I guess it's
Yeah,
probably on the border of those two towns, and
yeah,
it could be considered Reading. Yeah.
yeah. Because I know that Reading is actually close to Kutztown, and so it's Allentown. So Kutztown is like smack dead in the middle. So I know that Reading is definitely not far from here. And
Yeah.
have you ever performed in Philadelphia?
No, I've performed at the Berks Jazz Festival twice.
Okay.
In 2014, I played with Project 222. That Skylar was also involved in Dean Brown and Rocky. And in 2013 or 2012, I played with Jazz and Pink at Berks, but I haven't performed in Philly.
Oh, do you ever think about performing in Philly?
I'd love to.
Yeah, I'm actually from Philly myself. That's why I asked. Would you ever perform there?
Sure. I'd love to play there.
I think you should. I think you just like should try it.
Like a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that could be one of your goals for 2016 to perform in
Thank
Philly.
you. Thanks for putting that in my mind.
And you say you're from New York. Have you performed at any shows in New York?
Sure. Let's see. What places have I played at? I played at the Blue Note. Recently, we just did a CD release at Carroll Place on Bleecker Street for the CD. The gig I did at the Blue Note was with Hank Jones. I got to play there for a week with him. Let's see. I played at many clubs and places like Tavern on the Green, all over New York in the metro area.
Yes, it seems like you've done a lot of shows there. Is that your favorite place to perform, being that you're from there?
No, not really. I love to get out in the country, across the country, and see different cities and play for different groups of people. I also just thought of another famous place that people have probably heard of that I've played at in the city, Minton's Playhouse in Harlem, which Thelonious Monk used to be the house piano player at, Charlie Parker played at, and many musicians back in the day. It's still open at this point. It had closed for a little bit, but it's open at this point, and still going strong.
Would you ever perform here at Kutztown University?
Oh, I'd love to.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that would be nice. Maybe ACE could set that up. ACE is the Association for Campus Events here, and they basically
Sounds like I
plan,
need for you to be
yeah.
my agent.
Yeah, ACE basically plans all the events here at the university, So, I mean, you could give that a thought too. I'm just saying, because I would love to see you
Great.
perform. Unfortunately, I can't see you perform this weekend because I'm actually going to Philly this weekend. And I've never been to a jazz concert either. So I would just love to see how it's different from going to see a pop artist or a hip hop artist. I would just like to see how it's different and how the crowd interacts with the jazz artist compared to other genres. So
yeah, well, I'm sorry that you're going to miss it.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be others. I'm sure you'll be performing for years to come. What would you say is your has been your biggest highlight of your career?
Well, one of the highlights again is just getting signed by Kalimba and being on the same record label as Earth, Wind and Fire.
Oh wow! Seriously? That's
yeah,
great.
That's the label that I'm on is owned by Maurice White, from the founder of Earth, Wind and Fire. It's his label, and Earth, Wind and Fire is also on the label. Greg Manning is on it also, and they just signed one new artist. But I was the second person that got signed on the label.
Wow, that's great. Would you say that Earth, Wind and Fire is one of your influences?
Absolutely. I mean, who doesn't love Earth, Wind and Fire? I love their music, their songwriting. I mean, I love the blending that they do of R&B and pop music, and it's just, everybody loves Earth, Wind and Fire, and to be associated with them and Maurice, in that way, to be on the label, it's just very exciting.
And who would you say are your other influences?
As far as saxophone goes, I would say, my favorite saxophone player is Charlie Parker.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I love some modern day players like Dave Sanborn and Mike Brecker. And some of the jazz singers that influenced me were like Ella Fitzgerald and Sarah Vaughan, Al Jarreau, people like that. And Hubert Laws on flute.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Evans on piano. There's a lot of them.
Have some of those influences helped you make your latest album, or were you inspired by some of your influences as far as creating your latest album?
Well, this is my fourth CD, Ear Candy.
Mm-hmm.
Those people always influence, I guess they influence me on some level when I'm playing or singing or writing or whatever. A lot of the music on this current CD is influenced by Philly soul music, actually, and classic funk.
Okay. And how is your latest album different from your first album?
My first album was more of a collection of things that I was writing at the time.
Uh-huh.
I feel like my new one is more cohesive, and it has more of a common thread through it. And I've just learned things over the years, writing and recording, and so I hope that people can maybe hear that in this recording. I do like. I still like a lot of the tracks, and we still play some of the tracks from my first CD.
Okay. Getting off topic here, what would you say about the music industry today? How do you feel about the music industry, whether it's pop music, hip-hop music, R&B music, jazz music? What are your thoughts on the music today?
Well, I think it's a really great thing that we have the internet, because people's music can get released all over the world, and there can be a lot more sharing of music in terms of people hearing other people's music. And it's a lot more available and open because of that, which is a great thing. Over the past couple of months, I've done a lot of interviews, and I did 3 with different areas of Africa, and
wow.
I was really surprised to find out that I have a big audience in certain areas of Africa, and that, if we didn't have the internet, that wouldn't probably be.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's great that you mentioned that. I definitely think the internet plays a good part in promoting various artists' music. And for those who didn't hear you earlier, can you tell us where your show will be taking place?
Yes, it's at Building 24 in Reading, Pennsylvania, Friday, which is tomorrow, the 25th. The first show starts at 7:30. We're playing 2 sets.
Okay, all right, sounds good. I hope you do good in the show, and I hope that everyone enjoys it. And I would like to thank you for taking the time to let me interview you here on Kutztown Live.
Well, thank you so much for interviewing me, and thank you so much for supporting my music. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. See everybody at the show.
Bye. Hey everyone, it's Shantae, and if you're just tuning into Kutztown Live, I have Suzanne Robison, a representative from Pez Convention. Hi Susan, how are you doing today?
Hi Shantae, good, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day, isn't it?
Yeah, very nice today. I love the fall weather.
So, can you tell us a little bit about this Pez Convention?
Yep, it's a good time of year for a Pez Convention, actually. Ours is sort of Halloween themed. It's taking place October 24th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the White Room at Renninger's Market on Noble Street in Kutztown. And it'll be an all-day event that's mostly devoted to selling and buying Pez, but proceeds from the event will go to the Animal Rescue League of Berks County. So there's lots of good reasons to come out. If you love fall and Halloween, if you love Pez, which who doesn't, and if you just love shopping, if you can make it to the farmer's market, there's lots of other things going on there, and if nothing else, to give a couple bucks to charity is a great reason to come.
Okay, so I've heard that Pez is just for kids. Is that true?
Well, if you think about Pez as being a kid's toy, then yes, it is pretty much designed for kids. But all of us have been kids before. Every kid definitely loves Pez because it's candy and a toy together. I mean, what else could you want? But as adults, I think most of us think very fondly of Pez. We think about when we had Pez in our stocking and Easter baskets and how much fun it was to eat Pez and how cool it was to flip back the head of a Pez and give your friend a toy and a candy. And so it's lots of fun for adults to think about and be nostalgic about, but every kid loves to walk around and see those famous characters that they love so much.
So how many Pez conventions are there?
Well, there's some coming up and some closing. Unfortunately, things go up and down in our world today, but right now there's probably about 10 to 12 in the U.S., all across East Coast, West Coast. There's a famous one in California. The biggest one is Pezomania, which is held every year in Cleveland. Pennsylvania, this will be the 6th year of Pennsylvania, but it was started by Ralph Rovio, who unfortunately passed away a couple years ago, so it's had a couple years lag, and we're taking it over. And then there's also some across the world, like France and Sweden. So altogether, every year, there's probably about 20, and about 10 of those are in the U.S.
Can you tell us how the Pez convention ended up here in Kutztown?
Well, Ralph Rovio had a store called the Purple Cow, and he was big into collecting milk bottles. He really enjoyed that and had passion for collecting. And somehow, I'm not quite sure, he really started to understand and appreciate Pez and didn't collect them as much as the milk stuff, but really appreciated the passion of a Pez collector. So about, I guess, I think it was 2007, or I guess it might have been 2006 or 5, he started Pennsylvania in Kutztown because he has the store. His daughters run the store now called the Purple Cow, and it's all Pez dispensers. Another good reason to go to Renninger's any day for that store at least. And he started Pennsylvania, and it grew and grew and grew. And then he passed away from leukemia, I think it was 4 years ago, when the last Pez convention he held was Pennsylvania 5, 3 years ago. So he started the trend of Pennsylvania way back, and we're carrying on that tradition.
Yeah, you say that his daughter sells Pez dispensers, correct?
Yes. Uh-huh.
What would you say your favorite Pez dispenser is?
Well, mine personally, I love what's called the Pez Pals. Those came around in the 60s, and
really?
Yeah, there's about, I guess, 12 to 20 of those, but they're all the same. They have a head that looks sort of like a little boy or a little girl, but with the magic of Pez parts, you can make that little girl into a Pez sheik or maharaja or a doctor or a nurse or a bride or a groom. And so when you see them all together lined up in their little different costumes, it's really adorable.
Oh. What actually got you into Pez collecting?
Well, to be honest, it was my husband. It was not me. He came home one night. He was working night shift, and he woke me up all excited and had 3 different Star Wars Pez in his hands. And he said, "Look how cool these are. I just got these at the gas station. I'm going to start collecting these." And I remember waking up and going, that's pretty much the dumbest thing in the world you could collect. They're really silly, and they're probably $1 each, so they're not valuable. And then he stayed with it and started to buy a couple of them. So for Christmas, I bought him a Pez collecting guide and a whole bunch of different Pez, and I immediately got hooked. I saw how varied they are and how neat they all look together, and from then on, we just have grown and grown in our passion for Pez together.
Yeah. It's definitely very rare that people, well, I've never heard of anyone collecting Pez. So, like, what makes Pez collecting different from other types of collecting?
Well, I also have not had a lot of experience with collecting things in my life, so I talk to a lot of collectors at my Pez gatherings and conventions, and they tend to collect other things or have in the past collected things like Hot Wheels and other type things. And they tell me a lot of it is that the heart of Pez collectors is amazing, that we all have a really strong passion and love for what we do, so much more than just like how much things are worth or how much we have, that we really have a lot of love for each other and for the hobby, and the charitable part of it blows me away. We all tend to pick a charity if we host a convention, whatever our charity of choice is, and the amazing generosity of Pez collectors is just something else. They will donate and donate and donate just because that's what it's all about, and I love that.
Wow. That's crazy. I never knew that so many people collected Pez. I never knew that. And, like, what would you say is the most valuable Pez dispenser out there?
Well, a lot of Pez dispensers are scarce because they really were created to be a disposable item. They were created to be thrown away. So because of that, many of them have been thrown away over the years, and there's not a lot in existence. So the 1982 World's Fair Pez is a good example. That was created for the World's Fair, which even the World's Fair doesn't exist anymore, given out there in 1982 in Nashville, I think it was, Tennessee. And as far as I know, there's only 2 known to be in existence. So one sold for about $32,000 on eBay in 2006, I think it was. Personally, I'd rather have the Admiral Pez. That's one of those Pez Pals, kind of looks like Paul Revere. He's got a cute little wig and hat on. And as far as I know, with the Admiral, there's only one of those known to exist. We just found out that that was actually made. And the woman who owns that is in Austria, and I bet you if she sold that, she probably could get $50,000 for it.
So, like, do you go out and give Pez's to, like, other people for Christmas presents or birthday gifts?
Yes. Really? My philosophy is everybody loves a Pez. So I work a lot with kids, teenagers who have self-harm issues, depression, anxiety. I like to give them to the groups that I run. The kids in my group always light up, even teenagers, when they get a Pez. It's a cool gift to get. And stocking stuffers, they're perfect size for that, or Easter baskets. So, yeah, I always have an opportunity to throw a Pez into someone's birthday or Christmas thing.
So, like, have any of your family members became addicted to collecting Pez?
Addicted? Absolutely. I would say I'm addicted. My husband's addicted. I don't take that word lightly, addiction, but we do joke as Pez heads, we call ourselves Pez heads, that it is quite the addiction because once you get one, you just want another and another, and you could have thousands of Pez. I have a whole room devoted to Pez. Most of my vacations are centered around Pez. If the convention's happening, I'll try to make that into a vacation. So it does consume a lot of my life and a lot of my money, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
How many do you have?
I knew you were going to ask me that. I'm going to guess. You lose count at some point.
Oh,
I
God.
do have a whole bedroom with Pez all over the walls and in curio cabinets. I'm going to say I got to have 3,000.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That's a lot.
That's
a lot. And I'm pretty sure you've been doing this for decades now.
I did. We started, oh boy, that's another good question. I started in the late 90s, but then we stopped for a while. Life got caught up to us, and we were busy with things, and then we got back into it again maybe 10 years ago, a decade ago or so, and haven't stopped since.
That's a lot. 3,000? That's a lot. So, like, when you get older, what are you going to do with all of them?
Well, it might be naive, but we do look at them also as a huge investment. They can be very pricey, as I mentioned. Mm-hmm. So we take very good care of them, and it's in our will that we have 2 children, that they will split the collection, and they can either keep them or sell them. And hopefully, if nothing else, it'll be a college fund or it'll be some retirement money or something for them, because I think they hopefully will hold their value.
So would you say that your Pez dispensers, they're worth like thousands of dollars right now?
Yes.
Wow. I mean, yeah, like you said, they could use them for lots of things.
They could, and if they have a passion for the hobby and want to keep them, that's great, but they could sell off the collection and keep the money. It's entirely up to them. So
are your children teenagers right now, or they're adults?
Very little. I have an 18-month-old and a 3-year-old.
Oh, wow. They're going to be worth lots of money. Oh, wow. It's definitely going to be worth
and
lots of money.
And they love Pez because they're little, but, you have to keep their hands off of them because they're very delicate.
Yeah. And once they get a hold of them, they might end up breaking them or something.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really crazy. I've never known anyone to have 3,000 of any type of collection.
Well, that's another thing about Pez. They're so small, so compact, that it's easy to have lots and lots of them.
And you said the Pez convention, it will be here in Kutztown, correct?
It will be right in Renninger's Market, 740 Noble Street, and it'll be all day on Saturday, October 24th. Free. The admission is free for the public. Pez heads like to pay for what's called a registration packet, where they get a special Pez dispenser and they get some goodies that have the Pez logo on it and a T-shirt. That merchandise will be there for sale if people want to pick those up. But anyone can come down for free all day and check out the amazing amounts of Pez that are there and talk to people. It's also going to be, as I said, Halloween themed, so people are welcome to come in costume. And there will be lots of charity raffles and prizes. Every hour I'll be giving out a vintage Pez prize. And if someone comes in costume, they can be judged for the costume contest and win a vintage Pez that's worth about $75. So it'll be lots of cool things. Kids can come and have kids' activities. There will be lots of kid games. And the charity, as I said, is the Animal Rescue League of Berks County. So any extra dime that goes into charity auction or charity games will go to them.
And you said this will be taking place all day, like there isn't an end time?
9 to 4.
9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Okay, all right. And this convention seems very family-oriented.
Yes, very family-oriented. There's a lot of people who are single and older people, or, not old people, but people who don't have kids and don't have families, have a lot of fun there. They certainly don't have to bring kids, but little kids are welcome to come, and because of all the cool characters, they love it.
And is the Pez convention, is it done yearly or is only seasonal? How do they run?
It's an annual convention, and as I said, Ralph had passed away, so it hasn't been held a couple years, but it was held in Renninger's for the first 5 years, and it's been a couple years of a lull, and we plan to have this every single year, every October from now on.
Okay, and what's your relationship with Renninger's?
None. Ralph had a store, the Pez store in Renninger's, and the milk store in Renninger's, so I think he just had it there because he had the relationship with them, so we're just trying to carry that tradition on.
Okay. And as far as making more people aware about it, like, have you been promoting it and going to various media outlets as far as promoting the Pez convention?
We will be issuing a couple of press releases in the Reading Eagle, and there's a website called Who Fish and Coddler for the young kids. So we're doing this radio show and issuing some press releases and the antique auction news newspaper and email blast has gotten a hold of it. And then you might see some flyers around too.
Okay, and you said this is the first convention Kutztown in years.
Yeah, I think 3 years.
Wow. And you plan, not you, but you would like for the Pez convention to continue, like as something that's done yearly.
Yes, most conventions are held yearly unless for some reason the host can't do it anymore and no one wants to take it over. But we are just taking this over, and we are very passionate about it. We think Ralph held one of the best conventions there is, and we are looking to carry that tradition on as long as we possibly can.
Okay. Are there any performances at this convention, or?
Actually, not performances, no. But there will be a lot of Pez heads. One Pez head who's there has written a book on Pez, and he's happy to sign his book if you pick it up from him. And there's a lot of really knowledgeable people who've been collecting Pez for a long time who have every fact and information you could possibly want to know about Pez, so it's pretty cool to talk to them, but no live performances.
Okay. Do you think that there should be live performances at the Pez conventions in the future?
Could be. This is what's known as a gathering. It's a one-day event. A true convention is usually a couple of days where people rent hotel rooms, and in those situations with full-on conventions, we have seminars where people will talk about Pez collecting and fixing Pez and all the nuances of all that, and that, I think, takes up a lot of time between that and the kid games. We also have bingo and Pez prizes with bingo and other games, so that we're really busy from the time we get there to the time we end, but it's always a good thing to throw in something different.
And do you think about, like, extending the Pez convention to, like, maybe 3 days, 5 days?
Yep, that would be going from a gathering to a convention in technical terms. And that was always our goal, to try to do that. But since we're just taking over the first year, we want to make sure we get a good hold of what we're doing and make sure it goes smoothly. And so we'll do it this way this year, maybe this way next year, and then we hope to probably make it a 2-day or 3-day event.
Okay, it sounds good. Well, I would like to thank you for taking time out to let me interview you today about the Pez convention, and I hope everything works out.
Thank you, Shantae. I appreciate your time, and happy students.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.